Well, I am at One Green World today with Sam. And Sam, would you characterize your business as kind of edibles and unique plants?
Yeah, a focus on edibles, but lots of other fun stuff we like too.
Yeah, and they always have fun stuff. And so you have two kind of interesting edibles that maybe are going to tempt people to put them in their yard, because you can't buy this fruit in the store usually.
Yeah, there's maybe some specialty markets with this, the loquat, and you can probably get the underripe fruit that doesn't give a good representation of the fig. But yeah, to really get this fruit at the highest quality, you got to grow it yourself.
Right. And so tell us about these loquats. They're beautiful plants.
I know, they're gorgeous, huh? And they're evergreen. They look like they're tropical almost. And they're somewhat tender, you know, hardy to USDA Zone 7, but we've seen them sail through every freak winter event we've ever had here, for the past 80 years at least. They're evergreen. They flower all winter long.
Oh, wow.
The hummingbirds love them. And typically they were seen as not quite viable here in terms of fruit production. And maybe on a commercial scale they're not. Maybe you don't want to plant a loquat farm yet. But we've seen them fruit every year on some of the trees we've checked in town, even this year after the hard spring
crazy
frost.
spring, yeah. And so what does the fruit look like? It's clusters?
They are in clusters, and they're these little orange fruits, sometimes white, and then either orange or white on the inside, with this shiny, almost bead-like seed on the inside. And if you didn't know it or look carefully, you wouldn't know that they're related to apples and pears, because they look so different.
Very much.
But you look at the fruit and then the end of it, you're like, oh, I see.
Yeah, then you can see really.
It's a rose relative.
Right, right. That is cool.
Yeah.
Well, it is so pretty, and I think that there's one for a smaller yard or a bigger yard.
Yeah,
there's different kinds.
We're working on all sorts of new varieties now. We're cloning ones from all over Portland. Ones that we've seen have really good fruit, or are particularly productive or self-fertile. And then we've brought a bunch up from California, where people have been growing them for a very long time. And there are some dwarf ones that only get 6 or 8 feet. We're grafting onto quince to keep them smaller. Otherwise, they can get 20 to 30 feet if you never prune them and let them grow for 50 years.
Not bad.
Yeah.
And then figs. And I think if you've never tasted a really good fig off of a tree, you've never tasted a fig. So really, to get one for our yards is premier.
Right. And they're gorgeous. They're one of the easiest fruits to grow. People always come in here and say, I've never grown fruit before. I want to grow a peach or an apricot.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
a little hard.
no.
Right,
Try a fig first.
Right.
Because they're so much easier to grow than many of our stone fruits. They're pretty climate adapted, coming from Mediterranean climates. So once they're established, you often don't have to water them. And the variation in diversity in various figs is through the roof.
Tell us about this one here, because I think that's one of the most interesting, because the leaf doesn't even look like a fig.
Right, yeah, it's not as deeply lobed. It's a little bit more palmate. And this is one called Black Madeira. And it is a thing of myth and legend in the fig world. And that people say it's the best tasting fig they've ever had. It's this deep black fig. And until recently, and even still, it's incredibly rare. And it's a little bit slower growing. But we've grafted it onto Desert King and more vigorous figs to get it to go. And it should be in our catalog next year.
Wow. And so they have this great catalog, this great place down in Southeast Portland. So you have to come out, talk to Sam and the other people here, and get some interesting fruit for your yard. Thanks so much.
Thank you.